Hello and welcome to Teaching My Cat to Read, the very serious book review podcast. I'm Eli.
I'm Em.
I'm Ro.
And I'm Lottie. And this week we're discussing everything about our podcast. It's our Q&A episode. Guys, I'm excited for the Q&A. I'm not going to lie. I've been hyped.
We've successfully staggered through to the end of a season yet again.
Oh.
We are victorious. Stumbling
We've
but
defeated
victorious.
the podcast.
I have added a number of questions that we did get on the various social media channels, and I'm just going to ping the social media channels again to see if we get anything new that comes in whilst we record this.
Ooh, live questions.
So we get
live recording, terrifying.
Live questions.
Get our live reactions-ish. While you're doing that, I'm going to turn the episode order around and ask everybody what they're reading this week.
Oh, God. Nothing.
That's fair. That's fair.
I just finished playing Disco Elysium with my spouse. They've played it, and they were like, I want to see you make choices in this game. And I was like, oh, I don't know, that doesn't sound that interesting. And now I'm obsessed. So I was up till 1:45 last night reading the TV tropes pages for Disco Elysium. I didn't finish. I decided to go to bed before I finished. And I would say like an adult, but it was still 1:45, so...
That's impressive decision-making power.
Yeah. So, 6 out of 10 on the adult scale for that one. On the grown-up scale.
Listen, I'm not usually able to stop in the middle of something, even when it's like 1 a.m, and I'm not having fun anymore. I'm like, no, I must finish the thing. And then I regret it forever.
I did spend all of today asleep, so I'm on sabbatical right now. I've got so much time to be doing reading. I'm very excited about it.
Nice.
I have a lot of general life admin stuff going on, so I do not have enough time for reading. But I have been, getting back into watching stuff a bit more recently. So
Oh, that's nice.
I think, Good Omens hit, and we watched that, and then, watched a couple of things. We watched Nomona as well.
I still haven't seen either of those things.
You've not seen either of those things?
No.
Oh.
Still in my future.
Have you read Nomona, the graphic novel?
No, but I really want to.
Oh,
I have it,
great.
so we can make this happen.
I've been following Ginger Hayes, the artist. I've been following, I think him,
Yes.
for since the early days of Tumblr, right? So I watched Nimona get developed in real time on his Tumblr.
That's really cool.
And now it's a movie, so that's really cool.
Yeah, it's a really fun. It's a great movie. Loved it. Real fun. And also I watched all of the One Piece. You know that clown that haunted Tumblr for a while?
Yes.
I watched the show that the clown is from, and it's really good.
And was it worth the clown? Was it worth the clown?
He is best boy.
It looks deranged in a really good way.
Yes.
It looks like it was made by people who love the source material.
Yes, it's great. It is very, I guess the only way I could say is it translates the campness of anime to real life in an actual kind of way. A lot, you get a lot of anime adaptations and they try to go too serious with it. And it's
Yeah.
No.
Like, you have missed the point of this genre.
No. This clown is about to pop off his head. This is not a serious show.
So I've read a bit more of Wheel of Time book 11, 12. I'm getting there slowly. God, I hate parents' chapters. They're moan. Anyway, I've always thought that, but I think no, it's better this time around. I've just been
I
busy.
submit to you, right, that you've already read these books, so you could just skip the bits you don't enjoy reading.
I mean,
This is true.
but it's fine refinding the stuff that you missed the first time out. So
That's fair enough.
Although
I
it
do
can
enjoy
be
that.
a slippery slope with the, I don't like this bit, I'll just skip. Because that's how you end up getting only a third of the way through Game of Thrones and then giving up because by the end you're only reading I think by the end I was only reading Tyrion's chapters. And even that wasn't enough to sustain me. I was like, no, I can't do this. I have to leave.
Are you saying that this is a bad outcome?
I mean, you know what? The alternative was worse. The alternative was I get really into this and then have to read all of them forever. And you know what? Actually, I had a narrow escape.
Yeah.
I did not escape.
I mean, I do enjoy, when you go on, the Reddit threads for Wheel of Time, there are people like, oh, I didn't like this character when I first read it, so I just, skim read their chapters, and then they read it 10 years later, and then they thought, oh, actually, I get why they're like this now and they don't like another character. So
that's true. Yeah,
that's quite interesting.
That's one of the nice thing about rereading things many years after the first time, isn't it? You get these brand new perspectives on things.
Yeah. So yeah,
I did the skipping chapters thing in Game of Thrones, but then I always sort of got a little bit further along. So wait a minute, I need to do the homework and go back. And then I was always like, actually, no, this is good as well. It's fine. I just
No, I've been very lazy and I've been rereading Percy Jackson.
Oh, they're so fun. I only read them like for the first time recently.
I haven't read those before. Can we add that to series 4?
I was going to say, actually, I think they'd be a fun one to do for the podcast because quality.
Yeah. And there's a show just coming out for that, isn't there?
Yes, and I'm tentatively hopeful for this one because I don't know if you saw the episode titles are out and they have taken them from the funny chapter titles.
Oh, okay.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Which to me is a good sign. The film was appalling.
The film was tragic, apparently, in comparison to the books, and I haven't read the books, so...
They did that. You know that there's a specific blue light filter that they do when films are trying to make a fun young adult property grim and gritty and scary.
Yeah.
And it had that. And that's the most damning indictment I can give it, honestly. Although I'm saying that, I really enjoyed the latest Power Rangers film, and that also did that. But everything else was compelling, so I forgave them the horrible blue light thing.
Thinking of season 4, an idea that I think Em and I have been bouncing around between us, and I can't remember if we brought it up to the other two of you, is the idea of doing the season of sequels. Where we do like the next Artemis Fowl and the next Temeraire and another Discworld and things like this.
Yes, I mean, we've got to finish Austin off. Like,
obviously.
Yeah,
that counts.
So I was sort of playing with the idea of sort of doing a mini series and like been through a whole series. Like, let's just do Temeraire. You know,
Ooh.
that's.
Well, I feel like we could do that for Narnia because the thing about Temeraire is we've already started it, and if we were going to do a mini series, I'd kind of want to do one end to end within that mini series.
And Narnia, I feel, after the C.S. Lewis sci-fi flick.
Well, that's another one we could do for the season of sequels, isn't it?
We can compare and contrast. I was going to say, like, what's your guys' favourite book we've read on the podcast so far? That you hadn't read before or hadn't read in a long time. Let's caveat it like that.
Oh, gosh, I'm going to have to go back to the spreadsheet.
Yeah, I'm also looking at the spreadsheet.
I don't remember.
I'm gonna provisionally say the thing that like immediately jumps out would be probably Northanger Abbey or Emma, because I hadn't read them before. I wouldn't have read them before. Also, Gideon the Ninth. Actually, to be honest, that gets the first shout out.
Gideon the Ninth. Gideon the Ninth takes it easily.
Yeah, so I guess Gideon the Ninth for modern books off the top of my head, and then Northanger Abbey and Emma, because I wouldn't have read them otherwise, and I just feel like I was missing out on Jane Austen's humour by not reading those books.
I feel like there are so many for me, like Gideon the Ninth, obviously, but also Temeraire, I hadn't read before. I hadn't read Uprooted before by Naomi Novik, Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. Like, there's so many that I hadn't read before that I just loved.
Yeah, Temeraire and Long Way to a Small Angry Planet are two that I read. I think after editing the podcast episodes, I was like, maybe I should read these.
You listened to us, you edited us.
Yeah, maybe do that then the other way round.
I don't care about spoilers, it's fine. I mean, Good Omens and Hamlet are like have been favourites of mine for a way back, so...
Yeah.
But it had been a while since I'd read Hamlet again, or like watched it again, so that was nice.
I mean, favourites that I hadn't actually read before we did the podcast, I think I still keep coming back to Emperor's Soul, actually.
That is, it was amazing.
Because that was some quality.
I still haven't read that one. I have got a long list of need to reads from the podcast. I'm the only person on the podcast with that.
One of my questions for you was, what have we done on the podcast that you haven't read that you're like most excited to get to?
I think that's quite good. I think Uprooted, every time I remember that exists, I really want to try that.
Yeah.
The Aporson trilogy now, actually, that's really high up there.
Have you read it before, or?
No.
Oh, exciting. Brand new.
That is exciting.
That passed me by, so...
that was like... Yeah. I read that a few times as a teenager, I'm pretty sure.
So I probably said this when we did the Lyriel episode, but the copy of Lyriel in my town library... Like, for the whole... Every time I retook it out over the, 10 years or so I was using that library, still had grass in it from the time I took it on camping holiday, the first time I read it. And that was there every time I reread it for the next, however many years.
Yeah.
Actually, I just talking about Temeraire, I actually, because I've been recently, obviously, moved house, and I unpacked a load of boxes that I'd packed up. And I found my original Temeraire book. I was like, I knew I'd read it before. I swear to God I'd read this book before. And it must have been in a box that we put away in about, let me think, 2005, 6 maybe. And we finally went through. I was like, right, I'm going to unpack these boxes that have been sitting in my parents' loft, you know. And I was like, oh yes, I found it. So it's now sitting on my bookshelf, pride of place, next to the Brandon Sanderson books. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we had a situation in our household when we were doing reading for Gideon, the Gideon episode, where Em was like sure that we had another copy in the household, that you had multiple copies, and we couldn't find it. So I ended up borrowing it off the one we did have after you read it. And then like about 2 weeks ago or something, a week ago maybe even, you found the other one, and it was like she was here.
I was like, so I was having a clear out because I've got a bunch of books on the third floor of our house that I don't read very often, and I hide them up there. I hide my shame.
Yeah, it's the room of stuff. It's like it's the equivalent of the kitchen drawer.
But I've been having to use the shower up there because mine's not draining, and I kept getting distracted by, I don't really read this. I could get rid of this book, and I'm feeling really productive. And so I went to my other bookshelves and was like, what can I clear? And I found my second copy of Gideon the Nine.
And of course, by this point, I have now bought my own. Yes. So it's not like you can even just give it to me.
Yeah. Truly tragic.
I can't wait for Nona to come out in soft cover, in paperback, so that I can get it and have a matching set.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Because of course I bought and immediately read Harrow. I think I've mentioned that before.
I need to buy those books.
They're so
I need to buy I want to buy the Locked Tomb series because the covers are so pretty.
They are.
I'm like, can I just put these just to put on the bookshelf because the covers look pretty, please?
Yeah,
Next
that's
to my
valid.
Grow Your Own Vegetable book. That's like basically what's on my shelf now. I've got Grow Your Own Vegetables, Brandon Sanderson, Temeraire, and a space. And I feel the space needs to be the Locked Tomb series.
Excellent.
Have we not done Murderbot Diaries?
We haven't done
in the
Murderbot
podcast.
Diaries.
No, I think I associate that so much with you, Em, that I'm like, this must be why I started reading this. Like, no. Yeah, so I've binged those recently, and that was really great.
So that leads me very nicely into another question I had for you. I'm taking advantage of you being on the podcast for once. What would be the best book to use as row bait to get you to come and be in an episode again?
It's stuff that I've already read. Like, we should do Murderbot Diaries. It is fun. I am an awful person who overcommits myself. So
excuse me, you allow this podcast to exist by doing all of the editing. You know, like this podcast would not exist if it weren't for you.
Yeah. But yeah, at some point I will stop running Curse of Strahd. This feels like it's not true, but it must be true. At some point that game must end.
The classic lament of the DM.
Yeah.
One day this game will be over. One day my cat players will get out of this one this one maze that I stuck them in 3 years ago.
They're out of the maze.
And that'll be the week that our group finally decides we want to do another campaign.
Oh god. This is my problem though. As soon as I'm not running a D&D game, I do think, ooh, I have time to run a D&D game now. And not always. I don't always have to stop either for that thought to occur.
It's a chronic condition. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
So what books could we put on the schedule for the next season that would get you?
I would be the Murderbot Diary ones are very fun, and also quick reads. What was the other one we just mentioned that was sort of Percy Jackson?
Yeah. I mean, I started them last week, and I'm nearly at the end. They're very fast reads. I've only read the main series. I know there's a ton of spin-offs and stuff. The sort of second parallel.
Yeah.
And apparently there's 2 new ones coming out in the main line. There's one this year and one next year. I was messing about on the Wikipedia page because I can never remember what order they're in.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, those are new. I could have sworn there were only 5 of these, but no, apparently there will be 7 eventually, which, brand new.
Nice.
Exciting news for me.
I do remember when I read it really liking Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, actually.
Ooh, and I tell you what, that would fill our gothic horror classic trifecta.
It would.
Because we've done Dracula and we've done
This is
Frankenstein.
becoming our planning episode. I just realised, but that's great. I love it.
It's fine. It's fine. Actually, thinking of that, if we were going to do a sequels only season, I was going to ask you guys, what if you could only pick one sequel to do next season?
Ooh.
Which one would you pick?
Oh, that's hard though.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes, it's evil. That's why I asked.
That's evil.
I'm here simply to torment you.
I think the next Temeraire book for me, because I've already read Harrow.
I think Temeraire. It's been so long.
And in the vein of this podcast making me read things that I want to read but haven't got round to.
Yeah.
I think, Temeraire sequel.
Does Men at Arms count as a sequel to God's Gods?
See, I had it on my list.
Yeah.
I had it on my list
would
for the
say
potential sequels season. So, yeah, I'm definitely calling that. And apart from it, I love Men at Arms so much.
It's so good.
I'd be really down for that. I think I was actually weirdly leaning towards the second Artemis Fowl just because it's been so long since I read them. And they're so funny. Like, I need more of that in my life. They're just so
just a little
funny.
child psychopath, like, crime lord. I love it.
And, like, by book 2 as well, he's, like, mildly trying not to be quite so... Or he's not trying not to be quite so evil. He's being dragged kicking and screaming into, like, experiencing compassion and helping other people.
He's not trying to be less evil. He's trying to be less awful, right? Like, anyway, and, like, the further you get from being 11... the funnier it is.
This is true. Just the image of tiny businessman Artemis Fowl in his little suit, ordering around Mountain Butler. It's brilliant. It's classic. There's, you can't beat it. Also, it would be, actually, that's a torment too far. I was going to say that would be an excuse to watch the terrible Disney film, but actually I love myself and I don't want to put myself through that.
Yeah. I forgot they made that.
Yeah, everybody should. Forget I even mentioned it. I'm talking gibberish. There's never been an Artemis Fowl movie. There is no Artemis Fowl movie in Ba Sing Se. What am I talking about? Moving on swiftly. My other sequel question was next season question was when we run out of Austen, who should we replace her with? Wrong answers only, please.
Oh.
I feel like
Chuck
another...
Tingle.
Yes!
No, that is the right answer.
I was going to say like a semi-serious answer, like another Regency author. Is it like a Chuck Tingle Regency author crossover? No.
Oh my
gosh. Is
gosh.
there a Jane Austen fanfic?
Oh,
Babe, there's so... You know what we could do? There is a Temeraire Jane Austen. It has spoilers for up to book 4 though, so we can't do it just yet.
Right, so we need to do books 1 to 4, or 2, 3, and 4, and then we can do that in series 5. It's sorted. We've got this, guys.
No,
but that would be fun. Yeah, I think like another Regency author. I think that would be quite fun because
the trouble is, I'm sitting here going, who is another Regency author?
Yeah,
who are they? Where did they come from? What do they want from me? I know nothing.
Is George Eliot like? Or the Brontes? Like, that's kind of where my brain...
later. The Brontes are like 30s, 1830s, 1840s, I think.
But they are, like, you just slowly creep a little bit more modern.
Yeah, and we haven't done Jane Eyre yet, and I feel like given that we've done one of every other Bronte...
Yeah, I think we need to do Jane Eyre. Yeah, we can just yell about it and just...
Yeah, there's going to be so much yelling.
I think I blacked out that we did Wuthering Heights.
So did I, and I was very happy about that.
if you would like a fun, like, child Lottie story, so I remember, and my only memory of, like, school, we had to write these write in our little book the books we read that week.
I actually found some of mine when I was at my parents'.
Yeah.
I remember reading Jane Eyre in year 7, and I remember thinking maybe I think a lot of it went over my head, to be fair. I was trying to be like, like a smart ass kid. You're like, let's read George Orwell when I'm 11. Well, I didn't understand anything about Animal Farm. Yeah. I just thought this is about a farm. That's great. Anyway, moving on. And like, I remember writing this thing thinking, the teacher might get confused. Is Jane Eyre the author or like the title? So I wrote it in brackets next to it because, I thought the teacher might not know about the book Jane Eyre by... was it Charlotte Bronte? I was just
delightful.
God, what is little Lottie doing? I need to find that. Maybe I need to go back to my parents. Go to my parents, and be like, "Hi, can I just raid the boxes in the loft to find this book blog?" Because now I just want to find the review that I wrote of Jane Eyre in like year 7.
It may very well still exist. I just found mine from like year 2.
My parents are actively trying to get me to go through all the stuff that's of mine that's at their house and get rid of it. So, like, you may... Hey, if you ever need, like, relationship points with your parents, keep that one in the back pocket.
I was gonna say we could do an episode that's just reviewing everything in our year 2 reading journals. You guys would have to read so much Sheltie. It would be really
I mean,
funny.
I'm pretty sure I went through an Eragon phase. I just went from Eragon
didn't
to
we
Wheel
all?
of Time.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about those series, which I have not read, but my spouse tells me about them.
Yeah.
And the magic system in it is so broken.
Yes.
Because it's about like how much energy it takes to do stuff. And like there's lots of stuff which economically or in terms of actual like, takes very little energy but is incredibly valuable.
Listen, he was a baby. It's not his fault.
He was a teenager when he wrote the first book, to be fair.
You can't expect him to understand economics. He was a baby.
But like, I just find that very funny.
Yeah.
They're a bit like Star Trek. They follow the odd even rule. In the first one is good and the second one sucks and the third one's good and the fourth one sucks.
Also, isn't the geography in that series terrible? Like you have rivers that flow away from the ocean. Oh no, wait, that flow away from the ocean and like.
Listen, when I was that age, I wouldn't have got that right either.
I mean, I was just happy about there were dragons in it, and I was like, "Yeah, fantasy, sign me." I had a dragon on the front, that'll do. And then I remember watching the film, and it was tragic.
The film was tragic. It's true. They did the thing that BBC Robin Hood did, where the guy who's going to go evil is hotter than the main protagonist, and you're like, you've got that's the wrong way round. Why have you done this?
Thinking of world building, you know what we could do if we're going to do sequels is Lord of the Rings. We could do that as a mini-series.
Because Lottie, you've been listening to those, right?
I have been listening to it, caveated to go to sleep, so I don't know how much I've missed. But I am enjoying Andy Serkis's reading of it, so yes.
Yeah?
That's more of a mini-series. I mean, it took us 2 episodes to get through The Hobbit. We're not getting through Fellowship quickly.
And it'll be like 8 hours of us going, and we're now on chapter 4. We've got to Tom Bombadil. Who is Tom Bombadil and what is he doing?
God. Rightfully skipped as Tom Bombadil. Anyway.
Oh god, I had in the bit in the audiobook and Andy Serkis sings and every time he's like, Tom Bombadil, and I'm like, oh god no, please.
Oh god,
stop.
the songs in the audiobook are such a just like skip. I'm sorry per narrator, you're trying your best, but like there's no music or anything.
I love Tom Bombadil. He's just like, well, that's none of my business. He's just like, cool.
I too would love to be an unfathomably powerful being who could just sit there and go, this is none of my business. I'm going to sing and have a beautiful wife, and that's it.
Yeah, this is like not my problem. But anyway, I get now why it was skipped. But yes, I would be keen for Lord of the Rings because
I imagine if we did it as a mini-series, we would do 6 episodes, like one half of each book in each episode, because that's also the books are structured like that, right?
Yeah.
And then can we have like an extra episode for comparing the prologue to... not the do I mean the prologue? The bit he like at the start of the audiobook. There's a bit where he talks about how it's like a history, and I'm like,
the framing.
The
narrative framing
this
of it.
makes it so much more sense.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about Tolkien's writing is that like, he was a historian first.
Yeah,
right?
and he did the same thing with Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. He did like a framing of it before it went into the translation, or at least on the audiobook. They had like the introduction, and I was like, oh, this is why he did it in Lord of the Rings. It makes so much more sense now.
Lord of the Rings. We should do it. We should do that.
Is there a book that if it was made into a let's say TV show, because I feel TV shows got more space, which one would it be and why? And are there any books that you think are unadaptable?
Temeraire. All answers are Temeraire.
Both unadaptable, and you really want it to be a TV show?
Yes.
I'd say Gideon.
I saw a great Tumblr post about adapting the Lock Tomb, and it was like, any adaptation is going to be bad, but what we should do is we should give it to Stephen Moffat and just see where he goes with it, and it would end up with something spoilers for books that not everyone here has read, but and it just made me cackle. That Tumblr post about the idea of giving the Lock Tomb to Stephen Moffat to adapt. I think it's unadaptable.
It would be excruciating, but we would know that going in, and we would have done it on purpose, and therefore it's fine.
Slightly more seriously, I think Temeraire would be a great TV show. I think it would need a lot of adaptation, but it could work really well, and I'd also dragons.
People who have been watching the Wheel of Time TV show, which I haven't, is that doing the sort of grand fantasy, although Temeraire is like also very, it's like somewhat of a small scope in the sense of like, it's very personal. It's about him and one man and his dragon.
Book 1, yeah.
Yeah. It gets global very quickly.
Do you think that adaptation is proving that you can do big stories in a TV show like that? Because I'm not going to say that Game of Thrones did it well.
Well, Game of Thrones did it very well for like full whole seasons, and then they lost the source material. And that's the thing. True. Like, I feel like the Wheel of Time also has a ton of source material, and they are managing to condense it down very well.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a book purist, and I haven't read all of them, but I read.
Yeah. Whereas with Game of Thrones, the anime caught up with the manga, and then they flailed around instead of doing each episodes like God intended.
They should have done a filler arc.
I mean, we've got like all the bonus episodes coming up for Wheel of Time, which I will go into in-depth detail with friends of the pod and also Em, because Emma's watching TV show, which is very exciting, and I love all of Em's many text messages.
I am live texting. It took me 2 hours to watch a 1 hour episode yesterday because I had to keep pausing and be like, Lottie, oh my god!
So, me being on sabbatical, one of the things I want to do is watch that show.
Yes, please do. Like, you have to push through the end of series 1 because
that's fine.
COVID
I'm used to that.
Killed it.
Listen.
Look, if you don't know what happens in the books, it's fine.
Lottie, if you haven't read the book, the end of season 1 is fine. If you haven't read the book, the end of season 1 is just like, yeah, sure. Like, it's a bit abrupt, the character leaving because the actor left, but like...
Excellent. That's what I like to hear, because I think that's what... When you've read a book and you've read it inside out and back to front, like, multiple times over decades, and you love these characters, you've grown up with them, and then I think that the thing that the biggest worry is... And that's the nicest thing when live texts me, is you get to see it from perspective of someone who doesn't know the source material. Because there's someone who's read the source material thinking, are all the other people getting it? Because I want to see stuff happening that's like in book 6 or 7. I want to see that cool shit happening. But that's not going to happen unless everybody's like, the people who haven't read the books are also like really enjoying it now. And when you love the source material and you're going, but where is the Mad Quarterstar fight? It's coming, apparently. But where is it? It should have been there. Why are they not here? And I think that was more in Series 1. In Series 2 of Wheel of Time, they're doing a much better job of hitting the beats of books 2 and 3, combining it well, like jigging some stuff around. They have dropped so many beautiful Easter eggs. If you know, you know. My fave Erin turns up. I love it. She is perfect. She's everybody's favourite Grandma Aes Sedai. Also, it gives space to go into a lot of the background characters as well.
Yeah. Okay, so what I'm getting from this is that they have done a really good job, and it is possible to... Although I will say so far there haven't been any dragons, which I feel like is the real sticking point of a Temeraire TV show in terms of budget.
Certain animals from other places, because then you'd have basically dragons.
Game of Thrones has proven that dragons are possible. Like, Temeraire dragons are intelligent, like, creatures that speak, which is a harder thing to do convincingly.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, like, what's the current technology? I mean, I know it's a while ago, but like Merlin, the dragon was not good.
The dragon was not good, but does the dragon... the dragon... Like, it's... Yeah, it's... And the issue is, like, does the dragon always need to be good? But, like, in Temeraire, they kind of do.
In Temeraire, it does. He's a main character.
Well, okay, but I think you could make an argument that if the actors and the voice actor of the dragon and whatever are being compelling enough, you could put aside the...
You need a level of competence in the dragon, though.
Closer to state of the art is Smaug in the Hobbit movies. And actually Smaug was really pretty good. Well done as a piece of technical work.
Yeah, that's true. Despite it being Bandicoot's Crumblesnatch, I cannot fault the technical work. It was very good.
But yeah, I think I mean, Lottie did touch on it. It's the expanding the universe slightly, which is I think you need for Temeraire, because it's very much not ensemble in the way that Wheel of Time and Game of Thrones is. It becomes more global in scope, but it is still very focused on Lawrence. So
I would really like it if they did a TV show and then we actually like followed Tharke around for a bit.
Yes.
Just because I love him and I always want more Tharke. I'm like, let's just have... He's like getting equal billing here. Let's just follow him around constantly, please.
Yeah. So if they did that, and I think there is a lot to work with there if they did want to expand it. But
well, like, I mean, following Roland around, like, there's a lot of time for which, like, when Roland and Lawrence aren't in the same, even in the same side of the planet, and you could, I would be interested to like hear some more of like what she's got going on with like, let's do some weird Regency politics with like her being technically in the Admiralty but also a woman, and they're not really allowed allowed to know that women are in the aerial corps, and she's not really a politician, and that you could do some really fun stuff with that.
And you could totally like follow Napoleon as well. Like,
oh yeah, that's true.
A bit like how in American Gods, when they adapted it, they added in like, okay, what's this character doing now?
Yes. I never watched season 2 of that.
No, I need to go back and rewatch from the beginning, I think, because I would like to have seen the whole adaptation as it exists. I don't know if it's still going on or if it's finished.
Know.
I think it's done.
Okay.
I think the
That's
last
good.
time I tried to put it in a reference post, I didn't put a question mark in the bracket, which is how I keep track of these things.
Right.
But
Yeah, I mean, there is, like, if we're also talking adaptations, there is always, like, the ongoing Discworld
Oh
palaver
gosh, yeah.
of adaptation. I like some of them well enough. I know that Em really doesn't like going postal for specific
listen,
reasons.
it was fine, and then they fucked up one of the most important. Anyway, it's fine. I'm calm. I'm calm. I'm not gonna have this rant now. It's fine.
But there's a bit of my soul. I don't know, maybe like an animated adaptation of Discworld or something.
See, I feel like that could be really interesting.
Yeah.
Because then you can actually do the characters justice, and we won't get Thin Sybil.
You'd hope.
You'd hope.
You'd hope.
Hope we wouldn't get Thin Sybil. And also, like, I don't know how you do Nobby in live action without...
Yeah.
Like, he should be an animated little gremlin man. I think that's
Yeah.
that's only correct and fair and things.
Weirdly, a little bit off topic, but the One Piece adaptation has kind of been good in the other direction, because the original mangaka, I love him, he cannot draw women. So all of the, like, sort of women on the team are like, here is one body type, it's the same woman, and it's like, thank God they have different hair colours. And then you have a couple of villainous women who are various levels of, like, their looks are part of the joke, and they seem to be really avoiding that with, like, one of the major villains they've had. It's just like, she is fat, but it is not part of the, like, it's not the joke of her character, as it were, anymore.
Yeah.
Like, they're playing a lot more straighter, and she hasn't suddenly become thin, which is the thing that happens during the manga. So it's like, okay, that's a massive improvement. And the female characters, like, on the crew just being actual women instead of this one body type that the manga can draw has been a massive improvement as well.
Yeah. It is fun, isn't it, when
yeah.
sometimes I think adaptations do better, or they do something
Yeah.
different that's
New.
interesting enough that you're like, yeah, I'll allow that.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
it's an improvement. I don't think that gets talked about as much as, people bemoaning the, like, oh, the tragedy, how could they forget my fave Glotto or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Guys, I think that this is a good question, is what's the biggest difference between Series 1 and Series 3 of our podcast? I guess Ro from an editing perspective, but from the rest of us on a...
So I don't know when I started doing this, but at some point I started editing at 1.4 speed. And the thing is, if you listen to podcasts sped up on lots of good podcast players, they'll just they'll speed it up. Everyone still sounds the same. Audacity, which I edit on, does not do that. So you're all little chipmunks the entire time.
Incredible.
I love that fun fact. That is brilliant. I mean, I now have I do now have a pop filter and an actual microphone, which is different from the first one when I had headphones and I sounded like I was in a fishbowl. When I listen back to it, I'm like, oh my god, my audio is so bad. But we live and learn.
Yeah, we live in that.
And I have listened to like professionally produced podcasts, or supposedly professionally produced podcasts that sound worse than us. So we're really doing all right.
Yeah, but I mean, we have 15 reviews on Spotify, and we have a 4.9 star rating. So
Whoa!
Oh, thanks, guys.
I know it's
good.
very exciting, and we also have like a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts as well, just in case you know. So
I think for me, it's like we're just more comfortable doing the stuff. Like I still, it still boggles my mind that anybody listens to this, right? Like it's people that we don't know in real life, or have want to listen to us talk about books. I'm like, why? Like, by all means, please keep doing it.
in the best way, but why?
And like it astonishes me that anybody finds this and goes, "Yeah, I'll give that a listen," and then becomes interested. But I think we are more like, okay, we know what we're doing now. We're comfortable with it. We have fun with it. We're not still kind of going like, oh my god, is this even something we're allowed to do?
Yeah.
You know?
I feel there's definitely more of a rhythm as well. Like when we're recording, we kind of all know. We're not talking over each other because we kind of know when we're going to start and finish.
We do that still a lot.
It does also help that, like, at the start with my really poor internet, I had like a 3-second lag between me and everyone else. But
also, like, Ro's the only person that really knows how much we talk over each other because we only ever rehear the finished product.
Maybe it's worse and Ro just like cleverly edits it all out with our chipmunk voices.
Oh yeah.
Once again, Ro is making us sound better than we actually are.
It's about the same, I would say. I think sometimes you're getting better at like restarting sentences in a way that makes it very easy to edit out, so no one else has to hear it.
Did you think the F-bomb ratio has increased or decreased over
It's
there?
very episode specific. What was the one we were doing recently? Was it
might have been
Gideon the
Gideon.
Ninth? Gideon was really sweary.
I'm sure we swore a lot, yeah.
Emma, I think, was also remarkably sweary.
Listen, I hate all of them and I should be allowed to say about it.
You know what? I really want like that as like, you know, a bleep option where you can like have an app and you can just do it in real life. That's like with that little cat sound. I love that cat sound.
Well, people that stream have like little boards and they like they manually bleep themselves as they stream. Yeah.
Yeah.
They manually bleep yourself.
Should just force you all to do that and learn to not talk over each other at all, and then I don't have to edit. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know we've mentioned like a couple of books that we want to do in series 4, but if you had to get on your soapbox and yell about a book that you want in series 4, which one would it be? Either of the ones you mentioned already, or a new one?
I mean, I feel like a lot of the books that I'm like, oh my gosh, we need to do this on the podcast, we've either already done or we've already talked about and they're on the list. So I don't know that, like, we've had an opportunity to do that kind of soapboxing already. So I'm kind of out of ideas. I mean, for me, there's the second Temeraire, because the first episode, we did 3 episodes on one book. That's the only book we've done that with, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, we should do that again, basically. That's my argument for more Temeraire.
Real.
Yeah, I want to do more Discworld, because this podcast has got me into Discworld, and I want to read more of it, and it makes my soul happy.
Yeah, no, Discworld is amazing.
I do kind of struggle with it because I am just sort of like, every time I read something I like, I'm like, we should do it for the podcast.
Yeah.
So how do I pick?
Yeah.
I think This Is How You Lose the Time War might be up
I
there.
just
It's very
bought that,
good for the
actually.
podcast. It's quite short, so we could probably do it justice in like an hour. But it's also quite interesting.
I say actually Amulet of Samarkand. Thinking
Okay.
of fantasy books that we might have read when we were younger. I don't know. Did anybody else do Bartimaeus?
I haven't heard of the
No,
book,
but I know of it.
Oh my gosh! Okay, wow.
So I think we're adding that one then.
What about the Windsinger trilogy? I read that as a kid.
Ooh, yes, I do like Windsinger.
And my spouse is getting rid of a bunch of books at the moment, and that series is among them. So unless somebody else has dibs them, I could just be like, hey, no, let's keep those because we're going to do them for the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've only got the first one. Yeah, no, those are very good. Although I will be interested to see if the horror of the old people translates now I'm an adult.
Yeah, now you are the old people.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, listen, I'm not that creepy. How dare you? But I would like that was really genuinely horrifying to me as a child, and now I'm like,
I don't remember much of it except like deserts, and the girl is called Kestrel and the boy is called Bowman, I think. That's it.
I remember random fragments of the poetry thing, the stuff that she yells from the Windsinger, and the creepy children who are now old people, but sort of not. And if they touch you, you will turn into an old child person. It's really creepy.
Oh, no, you know what? I do remember that. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, I think we could do that.
Yeah.
One thing I'd like to do more of is more of the horror podcast, which obviously is I need to hop on the Discord that we made for that and do more of that, because that was really fun, and we ended that episode being like, let's do more of this.
Yes.
So I should
More bonus episodes.
get off my arse
for
and
the
make that
soul.
happen.
Good for the
Yeah,
soul.
yeah.
I'm
And like making me read things that I've wanted to read for ages.
Bad for the editing schedule.
Just don't edit them at all. It's fine.
I mean, those ones are explicit by default, pretty much. So
Yeah, yeah.
Guys, what do you think our darling dear Gothmog would rate our series 3?
has anyone been tracking our average rating this season?
I mean,
I sure as
we
hell
have
haven't.
recorded it now, and I do need to like, actually write it down. I made a column on the spreadsheet.
I've been putting it on the reference posts.
On the spreadsheet?
I
It's
thought
on
I
the
had.
spreadsheet.
Maybe it was. I don't know. Maybe it was on the social media one.
Different
Anyway,
spreadsheet.
I don't know. No, I probably didn't. I probably dreamed that. Anyway, I will.
Let's
I will
see.
compile it at some point, maybe in the future.
I reckon a solid 8 out of 10, honestly.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, we upped the shenanigans rating.
Yeah, there are many
Like, cheese and
shenanigans.
Worcester is, I mean, she is Jeeves and she is Worcester and we are Jeeves in this household,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Howl's Moving Castle is full of, like, that's probably one of the lower rated ones.
Yeah.
Death on the Nile is full of murder and silliness. Guards is full of silliness. I'm not counting the mini episodes and the extra stuff. Hamlet, I feel like, is fairly, I mean, I'm just rehashing what we said at the end of each of these episodes, right? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's been a very Gothmog friendly series.
Yeah.
Season.
No, I back that. We should play it to her.
Oh yeah, she won't care.
We'll just put it on in the living room and watch her like cover her ears and scream. It'll be fun.
Yeah, do that.
She probably just won't care because she knows our voices, you know?
That's true. She doesn't. I don't think she gets the thing that dogs get when they hear you over like video chat or whatever, and they get
where they're
really
like, "This is
confused because
uncanny."
they can't smell you, but they can hear you, and they're like, "What's going on?"
Oh.
Not that Wookiee's ever done that or anything and totally broken my heart. That's never happened.
Yeah. Whereas cats are just like, "Huh, that's weird. Not my problem," and go back to sleep.
Yeah. Like better
creatures.
lick my feet about it.
Yep.
I think that's a wrap up, isn't it?
I think we need to wrap this episode up, which is it's sad because it's like it's a whole new series ended, but
I feel triumphant. We finished it. We did it.
You finished it. I've still got to edit this.
I've still got to make a social media post for this, so it's not really it's never over on social media. It's continuous.
Yeah, that's true.
But
the editing finishes.
The editing finishes, and then the editing of the real time bonus episode starts.
Yes, that is a minimal edit. There's a reason.
Just a big thank you to you all so much for listening, for reviewing, for getting in contact with us on email or DM like throughout the series. It's been an utter joy hearing how much you love our podcast. And yeah, if you have any books to recommend to us for series 4, let us know via the contact page on our website or on our social media. So say hello, send us a message, and recommend us some books to read. Big virtual hugs, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.